Okay, hello again. I'm Jay Haley from Palmore Institute. This video is for our ACAN Level 2 writing class. And in this video, we'll be tackling the topic of supporting sentences. In the previous videos, the last two videos anyway, we talked about topic sentences. That's the first sentence. Then last week, we talked about concluding sentences. That's the last sentence. And today, we're going to begin to talk about all of the middle, the supporting sentences. Now, there's 2 points I want to make about the supporting sentences, but let me introduce these. Actually, 3 points. First, supporting sentences will give support to the topic sentence. Okay, but now the 2 points that I want to discuss more completely are these two here. In this video this week, we're going to talk about this one in the middle. It says you're going to start the supporting sentences with a transition word, at least some of the sentences, and I'll talk to you a little bit about those soon. Then next time in the next video, we will talk about the next part, which says try to include a main point and then some details in each of those 2 main points you will discuss. Okay, that'll be in next week's video. For this week, we're going to focus on transition words. So let me give you an example of one of the paragraphs that we've already written, and this one will highlight some of the transition words. You'll see them highlighted here in red. And once again, let's turn to our old friend, the question about internet shopping. Okay, we've been using this as a good model for some of the points. Let's take another look at it. And again, notice these red transition words. Okay, so the question was, these days, some people buy things on the internet. Do you think more people will do so in the future? I think that internet shopping will become more popular in the future. First, internet shopping is very convenient. Some people are very busy during the day, so they do not have time to go shopping at regular shops. Internet shops do not close like regular shops do, so people can shop for things whenever they like. Also, internet shopping is often cheaper than buying things in stores. People always like buying things cheaply. Therefore, I think that internet shopping will become more popular in the future. Okay, now one thing you will notice here is that there are these red words which are transition words. Okay. Talking about the words here, you'll see 3 of them. The first one is first, the second one is also, and then the last one is therefore. When I talk about transition words, I'm really talking about something like this. And I'll give you an example of some other transition words you might be familiar with. Transition words are words like first, second, however, for example, in conclusion, or as a result, etc., etc. There's really a huge number of these words. Transition words have an effect of connecting ideas. They show the relationship between one sentence and the next sentence. They're really a good hint about how 2 points are related to each other. So we're going to be using transition words at least 3 times in our answer. And I'll be explaining those next. The first 2 places I want you to use a transition word are use transition words before each supporting main point. Okay, remember when we were planning this answer and we decided there were 2 points that we were going to use. One, we were going to talk about the convenience of shopping online. And then the second one we were going to talk about was the price. So in this answer, the convenience point is first. And right when that starts, just after the topic sentence, right when you're beginning your first point about the convenience, you're going to use a transition word. Here, we use the word first. Okay. Similarly, the second point, at the start of the second point, where internet shopping is cheaper, okay, that starts with a transition word too. Okay, it starts here with also. These transition words act like signals almost like a traffic light, red, yellow, green. The way a traffic light signals a driver about what they can do or what's next, or the way a street sign gives the drivers information about what's coming. Well, it's the same thing with transition words. Okay? When you start with first, you're saying, here's my first idea. When you start with also, you're saying, now I've got a different idea, a different point. Okay? Here's the beginning of my second point. So that's one important function of transition words. Okay. Those are the first two transition words, and I said I'd like you to use transition words at least 3 times. So here's the third place I'd like you to use it. I'd like you to use a transition word just before your concluding sentence. Use a transition word before the concluding sentence. We actually saw this a little bit last week, but I didn't talk so much about it then because I wanted to wait until this week. But let's talk about it now. In this case, the concluding sentence here is the last sentence, and it starts with the transition word therefore. Okay? Therefore is a good signal that this is my conclusion. Okay? I finished my second point. The information about the price and being cheaper for shopping online, that's finished, and I'm done. I just want to give you a conclusion. So this transition word, therefore, signals to the reader, here's my conclusion. So you're going to use these transition words in these 3 places to signal to your reader what's happening. 1, it's my first main point. 2nd, it's my second main point. And then 3rd, here is where my conclusion starts. Okay, you'll see them all listed here in this next video, but there's one more point about the transition words I want you to remember. Use a comma. Use a comma after the transition words. You'll notice the commas here. First, comma, internet shopping is very convenient. The next transition word, also, comma, internet shopping is often cheaper. Okay? And then in the last one, therefore, comma, I think internet shopping will become more popular in the future. Okay? Use a comma to just after a transition word. This rule a little flexible in truth, but sometimes it's just best to be safe. And I think this is a good chance to just be safe. Just put a comma. It's okay if you do. It's always okay if you do. You don't have to worry about it. So use a comma, and you'll be safe then. All right. Let's take a couple minutes to talk about what some of the choices you have are for the transition words. I said again, 3 places you want to use them. So for the first main idea, here's 4 ideas that you can use for your transition word. I have first, for one thing, most importantly, or to begin with. Okay, first, for one thing, most importantly, to begin with. Really, all you have to do with this list is choose one you like. That's it. Find the one that you like. You only need to use this one time, only one time on the whole test. So just memorize this. Personally, I like the first one best. I just like first. It's the easiest one. It is only one word, and it's good enough. But if you have a phrase that you prefer, go ahead and use it. But just make sure you really, really memorize it and you know it really well so that you don't make a mistake. There's one other point I want to make right now. Like I said, I like the word first best, but you have to be careful. This is what I want you to be careful about. The transition word here is first, not at first. This is actually a very common mistake that students will make with this. They'll say at first, internet shopping is very convenient. Now, they probably know the phrase at first, and it's a real phrase in English. It's correct English, but the meaning is not correct here. The meaning isn't the same as just first. Okay? At first really has kind of an opposite meaning. When you say at first, you mean in the beginning. In the beginning, something was true, and then very often the next word is but. So if I say at first, internet shopping was very convenient, I might finish by saying, but now I don't think it's convenient. So at first means only in the beginning. Okay? It doesn't mean this is the first idea. Be very careful about this. Use first, don't use at first in this situation. And next, let's move on to some ideas for the second transition word you can use. Okay, again, here are 4 examples that I've laid out. This is, again, the sentence from that paragraph that we've been looking at. And the 4 ideas are second, for another thing, in addition, or also. I think in the paragraph we looked at today, they actually use the word also. But once again, my favorite word here on this list, my recommended word, is second. It's just the easiest one to remember. You start the first idea with first, the next idea with second. Okay. Again, there are more possibilities. You could use the word next, some other ideas too. Many possible choices here. I'm just listing up 4 that are common, but all you need to do is choose the one that you like best and use it. You only have to use it one time for this reader. They will not see your writing again, so you don't have to worry about variety or, using the same words too many times. Only use, on this test, only use your best words here. Use your favorite. Okay, the last one, again, we have this third transition word that we need to use. And this is just before the concluding sentence. So here are some ideas. This time I have 4 ideas once again. They were in conclusion, therefore, for these 2 reasons, and in summary. Okay. Therefore is the one that they used in the sample writing. If you rewind the video and go back to check, you'll see that. They're using therefore. Okay. For these 2 reasons, the third idea, this one's pretty popular with my students. It's a good one. Nothing wrong with it. I put my favorite one on top in conclusion. It's just the easiest one to remember. But as usual, just choose the one that you like and stick with that. You don't have to try new things or look for variety on this test. One last point I'd like to point out here. The word so. Using so as a transition is a little bit shaky. I've rated this as a triangle in terms of it being, so-so, literally. But the reason is this. So actually is not a transition word. It's a word that should come in the middle of a sentence, not at the beginning of a sentence. But even among native English speakers, especially when speaking, we might use the word so at the beginning of a sentence, and nobody is too bothered by it. So it is quite natural, although it doesn't follow the really, really strict rules of writing. Under the strict rules, you shouldn't start a sentence with so. Okay. It's not so bad if you do. In fact, the original answer to this question, the official original answer to this question, did use the word so. So you can use it, but I would say be careful. It's really just safer to use in conclusion. Okay. Here one more time is the answer that I'm providing, a sample answer. It's the same answer, but I'd like you to see one more time how these transition words worked. First, comma, also, comma, and therefore, comma. Okay. Again, if I was using my favorite words, it would be first, comma, second, comma, and in conclusion, comma. Okay. Choose your favorite words. We'll talk about that in a minute. If you want to take a closer look at this answer, just pause the video, go ahead and read the answer. And when you're ready to start again, unpause, and we'll finish up. Okay, so I'd just like to close this by providing a summary. Again, I've listed up 4 ideas for each of the 3 places that I want you to use a transition word. Again, I've highlighted in yellow my favorite ones, my recommended ones. Although any of these words, again, are okay. You just choose your favorite and use that on this test every time. Okay. Having done all that, it's a great place to stop and a great place to give you a little bit of homework. So let's try this one this week. This again comes from the actual test, and the question says, some people say the number of cars in cities should be limited. Do you agree with this idea? Okay, there are 3 points there: convenience, public safety, and environment. Take a look at those points. Choose what you like, or again, choose your own idea. Write the paragraph. Again, 20 minutes. Limit yourself to 20 minutes. Next week, we'll be moving on to the second point about supporting sentences, in how to give details to back up the main supporting sentences. So next week, we'll be talking about that. Thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. Thanks.